Okay, hello everyone. It's Samantha from Embracing Your Virtue. There's no one on yet, but that's okay. I will post this video later for anyone that does want to hear my thoughts. I popped on here to share my thoughts and just some lessons learned from the interview with Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. I don't normally go live because I have kids everywhere that tend to pop up, so I'm gonna try my best to get through this without many interruptions. So I went into this with some preconceived notions about Meghan and Harry, and I was kind of like, you know, for people who want to be left alone, they sure are doing a lot of interviews now that they are kind of by themselves. Hey Marina, hola. You know, so that was my first thought, right? But the more I listened to them, the more I was, I guess, convicted and converted. I do recognize that every interview has its own particular bias, that, you know, Meghan and Markle and even Oprah are probably shaping the story how they want it, and it's not the whole truth, it's their perspective. But I want to share some things that I've learned, because I think these are just general things that we need to look at when we think about our society. So first off, right, I think one thing I learned from them is that it's not that they didn't want to necessarily be in the media, it's that they wanted their story to be told accurately and with equity. And I think, you know, I've been following them since they've gotten married, or really since they've been engaged. And there was, and continues to be, a lot of racial biases and undertones in the way that Meghan is reported on versus any other royal. And I think that that is something that's important to note. So I think that when I heard Prince Harry say that when he went to his family to support, how they were more or less like, oh, listen, we've all been through it, suck it up kind of thing. I think, listen, I think he was trying to get them to realize that, yeah, we all go through it. The media has been vicious to all of us, but this is something unique and different. And I think that just speaks to what happens when other people use their own lens to try to relate to someone else's experience that's different from them. Yeah, I'm sure that, you know, that the Queen and you know, and Harry's dad, whose name I can't think about at the moment, how they all went through their own share of media trauma, right? And their own kind of experience living this royal life. But she has the added layer of being an American and being a Black woman on top of that. And that is fueling something completely different. And Liv, what did I tell you? Go out, thank you. That is completely different. And I think what tends to happen with some of, you know, some of my non-Black friends, my white friends, is that when you don't have a shared experience, you dismiss what's happening. And I think that's important to note, that this is something that's unique that's happening for her as a Black person. And you need to acknowledge that and realize that just because you were able to suck it up doesn't necessarily mean that she can suck it up, because her experience is actually different, because she is not like you, right? And I think, you know, we see that happening to women, right? The mansplaining, right? Like, don't tell me how I should be able to take something. You've never been a woman. You've never given birth. Like, you've never had a menstrual cramp. You've never been catcalled on the street. You know, you've never had these experiences. Don't tell me how I should respond to things, how I should behave, or how I should take something. As a Black person, right? Like, don't tell me that I'm being paranoid. Don't tell me that, you know, what I'm experiencing is not valid when you've never walked in my shoes. So that's an important thing to note. I think what else was really interesting about that was how they kept referring to the monarchy and their whole experience as the institution and the system. And I just loved it. I loved it, because I think a lot of times we just think about the royal family as just that, like this family. But really, like, this is a beast. This is a whole system of people that are employed and that are working to keep this whole, like, British monarchy thing going for centuries, right? And that's important to note. Like, this is not just the Queen. Like, we tend to think, oh, she's the Queen, like, she's in control. And, like, yeah, she's the boss at her own dinner table. Like, don't show up with garlic at her dinner table, you will be sent away. Yeah, she's a boss there. But guess what? She's a slave to the media. She's a slave to the British public. I think sometimes we tend to forget that they don't live just on old money. They're not living just on inherited wealth. A portion of their income comes from public funds. So that's important to note, because listen, you know, and I think that's what he was trying to get at, is that like, in order for them to keep this life of privilege, you know, they have to be crowd pleasers, right? Because the British people need to love them so that they don't advocate for laws that stop funding them, right? So yeah, I need people to pay for my luxury lifestyle so that I can just continue to smile and wave at like a million different events, but I could live in a castle and have all this money and live this particular lifestyle. And that's what has been bred in them from birth. As I'm just recalling what Harry was saying, is like from the beginning, you are bred in the system of fear. Your livelihood, your privilege depends on public perception. It depends on the public's continued support. So you are a slave to the media like everyone else, because public perception is based off of the media. So yeah, they're not going to stick their neck out for Meghan. They're not going to stick their neck out and go after the media, because they need the public to continue to lobby for them so that they can continue to live this only life that they've known, and this life that they've been bred into thinking is so darn important, and that they have to keep up, right? Because like, what are they going to do without it? You know, they don't have celebrity wives that know Tyler Perry to help them start over. I love the fact that they kept referring to it as the institution and the system, because I think like we need to realize that this is what happens when, and it's so reflective of America, right? Like we live in a system that's built on on like this survival mechanism. Like I need to survive. I need to preserve my livelihood at all costs, right? And I need to preserve systems that preserve my livelihood. So even if that means oppressing others, even if that means ignoring the welfare of others, I need to do this for my own self-preservation. This is what, as Americans, we have inherited from the Brits. So thank you, Brits. And I just thought it was so interesting, like even just the response from so many Black American, so many Black women of all nationalities before and even after. Like there's a lot of Meghan hate, and I'm like, why? For you Black women that are still hating on Meghan, please tell me why. And please tell me why you choose, like honestly, tell me why. And why you choose to side with a bunch of, excuse me, my white friends, but a bunch of white folks, right? Like why you choose to side with a British monarchy that has enslaved you, that has colonized you, and that has exploited you. Now granted, maybe this current queen has not done that, but she comes from a long line of people that do. And it's like this excitement that people have, like, I don't know, it's juicy gossips. For me, the royals are like housewives. Like, it's just all juicy gossip. It's people for me to judge, if I'm honest, you know. But there are some people that, like, love them and they're cheering. And I'm just like, for a bunch of rich white folks that don't do nothing but sit around and spend public money to look rich and to be rich and to wave? Come on. And y'all want to take her over one of us? I mean, I know Meghan is light, but she's still one of us. So y'all explain it to me. Let me know for real. Like, what is that about, right? And like I said, I do know, I want to take what's happening with a grain of salt, because I do understand that, you know, like I was kind of, that this is their story and they're spinning it how they want to spin it. So there is going to be some perspective that is maybe just a little extra fluffy. Like I thought there was a lot of fluff in that interview. You know, even at the end where he's like, she saved me. Oh, he saved me. And I was just like, you know, it was a little much, you know, my fairy tale and comparing herself to the Little Mermaid. It was so syrupy. It was much for me. But I get it. This is your opportunity to shape the narrative for yourself and to not let other people do that, right? I appreciated the fact that she, you know, they said like, listen, we were down and we were trying to be down, but we needed barriers. Also loved, you know, her openness about her, you know, her emotional wellness or lack thereof, and to the point of being suicidal, and just even speaking to the fact of how hard it is to say that out loud, and all the thoughts that go behind that, the shame, the guilt. Like, she's wanting to be this strong woman for her husband. She's wanting to endure the same way Queen Elizabeth has, the same way, Kate is doing it, the same way. I don't know why I keep forgetting Harry's dad and stepmother's name, so forgive me, y'all. But the same way they're doing it, like, she's wanting to be this brave soldier in this British kind of thing that's happening. But, so I'm so proud of her for telling him how she felt, and I'm so proud of him for supporting her and standing by her and for taking that serious. Like, that's a big deal. And I appreciate Harry, and I think it's because of what he's gone through. Like, he saw what it did to his mother. Like, he saw his parents in a loveless marriage, a marriage that neither one of them wanted to be in. He saw the pains of divorce and how she was treated after that divorce, and and how the constant paparazzi hassle, like, literally led to her death, right? So people are like, oh no, he did it because of Meghan. Meghan made, like, look at what he's been through. Look at what he's been through. I think he was probably just waiting for an opportunity, waiting for a good enough reason to be like, deuces, because this is BS, right? So kudos to him for standing by his wife, for taking her mental health serious. Kudos to her for being brave enough to say it, and then also for being brave enough to share that with the world, because we need to know that. We need to take those moments serious when we're having them. We need to be able to share that, what we're feeling, with trusted people in our lives, and we need them to rally around us and get us the help and support that we need. So, kudos for her for not trying to be this strong Black woman who can just take it and handle it, and to recognize her own humanity in that moment. I think another thing that that just kind of struck me about this was the whole, like, Kate versus Meghan thing, and I'm glad she clarified it, and I thought she did an excellent job. Like, I mean, she did put it out there, like, no, Kate was the real one behind this. Like, Kate was the one that made me cry, but she was very gentle about it. She made it abundantly clear that Kate apologized, because we all have those moments where we are just not nice people, and Kate apologized and made it right, and they both seemingly moved on, or at least that's how Meghan described it. And so I think it's just so annoying that the media constantly tries to pit women against each other, right? Like, they do that in the music industry. They do that in so many industries where it's like, like, there can only be one. There could be 1,000 men, but apparently there could only be one hot chick on the scene. Stop. You know what I mean? And that's the whole, like, perception, right? And we feed into it, right? Like, oh no, I keep my girlfriends at a distance. No, I don't trust those bees. Like, I don't trust no females, because how females are. Come on. Don't let the men lie to you. Like, that's the perception, that we're catty, that we're vicious, that we tear each other down. And listen, sometimes we do. Come on. We do, right? But that's not the norm. We're not all like that, and we're not always like that. A lot of us have grown, okay, and are worthy of friendship, and we give friendship, and we can receive friendship from other women, and not continue to let other people pit us against each other, and it's just such a shame. Like, they could have been BFFs, they could have been friends. Like, they are two royal women trying to live this life, but they are trapped in a system that is pitting them against each other, that isolates them from each other, when really, of all people, they could have been there to support one another through that, because nobody else knows what that's like except for them. So we have to not take the bait, women. We have to not take the bait and be there, reach out, support one another, lift each other up, clap and cheer each other on, recognize that somebody else's life will never be mine. So you could have it all. You could have all your blessings and everything else, because what is for me is for me. God has a plan for me, a journey for me that is completely mine. And it may never match yours, and it may never be as luxurious as yours. I may never be queen. I may always just be the Duchess. But listen, that's my path in my journey. And because it's the one that God has set me on, it'll be rich and it'll be worth it. You know, rich in experience. So those are my thoughts. So in light of International Women's Day, I hope that you all are celebrating how God has created you. God has created you to be women. That is a gift, despite this patriarchal society that we lived in. It is a gift. You are valued. You are loved. The God of the universe has made you and divinely created you for such a task, and He makes no mistakes. So blessings to all of you, and adios. Bye. All right, this is sad. I don't know how to end a live. I'm gonna figure it out. So bear with me.